Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And when you really sit with that, it hits. Because so much of what we think we're deciding in life isn't really a decision. It's a reaction, a default. It's something that was set in motion years ago, quietly, subtly, beneath the surface. Most people never realize this. They try to change their lives by thinking harder, working harder, forcing themselves to be better. But what they're really doing is rearranging furniture on the deck of a ship whose autopilot is still set for the old destination. That autopilot, that's the subconscious mind. We tend to think we're conscious creatures, that we make choices based on logic, intention, and willpower. But neuroscience and ancient psychology alike say otherwise. Most estimates say that 90 to 95% of our behaviour is subconscious, meaning the vast majority of what you do every single day. How you brush your teeth, how you speak to your friends, how you walk into a room, interpret a facial expression, or respond to criticism. It's all happening automatically. Let's say you're brushing your teeth in the morning. You're not thinking about the motion. You're not guiding your hand like it's the first time. You're lost in thought, maybe thinking about a meeting later, or something someone said. But the brushing gets done, so who's doing it? That's your subconscious in action. And the same thing applies to how you act when you're nervous, how you flinch when someone raises their voice, how you sabotage a relationship the moment it starts feeling safe. You think it's you, but it's not. It's a program. It's a pattern. It's a memory that never got fully processed. Carl Jung believed the subconscious wasn't just a storage unit of past experiences. It was alive. It held archetypes, identities, desires, fears. It shaped who we became and how we interpreted the world. It wasn't just under the surface, it was the surface. We were just too distracted to notice. Here's the catch though. You can't access the subconscious by thinking harder. That's like trying to dig a well with a feather. You have to speak its language. And its language isn't logic. It's repetition, emotion, symbol, story, image, sensation. It understands patterns, not paragraphs. That's why people stay stuck, because they try to change their life from the top down, using willpower. But real transformation only happens from the bottom up, from the subconscious. Your beliefs about who you are, they live there. Your self-image, your core assumptions, your emotional habits. They were shaped by childhood, by trauma, by what you saw your parents do, by what you felt but never spoke aloud. And every day, your subconscious is acting like a filter. It decides what you notice, what feels safe, what's possible for someone like you. And if you don't bring it into the light, you'll stay in the same loops forever. So the question is this: are you living your life, or are you replaying one? Carl Jung believed that the path to wholeness was integration, not rejection, not suppression, not self-hate. Integration, facing what's unconscious, becoming aware of what's been hidden, and learning how to speak to yourself, not just with ideas, but with experiences powerful enough to reshape the internal landscape. This is the first step. Not more hustle, not more goals, not another productivity hack, but presence, curiosity, and a willingness to ask, what's really running the show? So let's say you've realized something's off. You've caught a glimpse of your patterns, the ways you keep looping. You're tired of procrastinating. You want to stop overthinking. You want to feel confident, motivated, focused. So you do what most people do. You try to force the change. You set goals. You make to-do lists. You promise yourself that this time, it'll be different. But then 2 weeks later, maybe less, you're back where you started. Why does that happen? Because you can't out-discipline the subconscious. The conscious mind is like a rider. The subconscious? It's the elephant. You can grip the reins, bark commands, even get a few steps in the direction you want. But if the elephant decides it's scared, or angry, or just used to walking a different path, it's going to take over. Carl Jung didn't see the subconscious as something bad or broken. He saw it as misunderstood, not a villain, but an untamed part of yourself, a part that needed to be listened to, worked with, understood, not controlled. That's where the idea of the shadow comes in. Jung's shadow isn't evil. It's the parts of you you've exiled. Your fears, your doubts, your anger, your old pain. Even your power. It's what got buried to make you acceptable. It's what you had to ignore so you could survive. But here's the twist. What you suppress doesn't go away. It just acts out behind the scenes. So you tell yourself, I'm going to get healthy. But your subconscious associates working out with punishment, shame, or embarrassment from high school gym class. So you sabotage it. You tell yourself, I'm going to be more open in relationships. But your subconscious remembers what happened the last time you were vulnerable, and it shuts you down to keep you safe. That's not weakness. That's programming. The subconscious runs on emotion. It learns through intensity and repetition, not logic. This is why just reading a book or watching a motivational video doesn't create real change. It feels good for a moment. But nothing gets installed. It's like hitting save on a file without ever writing anything down. Your patterns were etched in by moments that felt unforgettable. A parent yelling at you, a teacher humiliating you, a moment of rejection you never told anyone about, or a belief you repeated to yourself every day until it became invisible. I'm not enough. I always mess things up. No one really sees me. Those patterns don't go away just because you want them to. You have to rewrite them with equal force. This is why Jung emphasized the need to face the unconscious directly, to integrate it. Because if you don't, you'll keep reliving the same internal script, projecting it onto new people, new goals, new opportunities, and watching them fall apart for reasons you don't understand. This is where people burn out. They try harder and harder to change with willpower, never realizing that willpower was never the problem. The problem is misalignment. You're trying to act like someone you don't believe you are. The conscious mind says, I want to succeed, but the subconscious says, I'm still the kid who fails. I'm still the person who doesn't follow through. I'm still not worthy of that life. And as long as that belief lives in you, you will unconsciously find a way to make it true. So here's the truth. You can't fake your way into a new life. You have to become someone who doesn't need to fake it. And that means shifting the internal story. Not just changing the external behavior. It means going inward. Not to judge or fix or force, but to understand. To sit with the parts of you you've ignored. To speak the language of the subconscious. Image, sensation, repetition, symbol, ritual. It's not a quick fix, but it's the only one that lasts. Because you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your subconscious programming. So if you can't just will your way into change, how do you actually shift something as deep and automatic as the subconscious? Here's the paradox. The subconscious is incredibly stubborn, but also incredibly programmable. You just have to speak its language, and that language isn't words, it's repetition, emotion, symbol, ritual, impression. Think of it like carving grooves into stone. You don't need to strike once with force. You need to strike consistently, with rhythm and intention, until the pattern takes form. Let's start with tools. 1. Visualization. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between what's imagined and what's real. When you vividly imagine something, not just see it, but feel it, embody it, you start forming new neural patterns, new grooves, but it only works when repeated. Once isn't enough. You must train your subconscious like a muscle, until the vision becomes familiar, until it starts to feel like home. 2. Affirmations, but not the cheesy kind. An affirmation isn't just saying, I am enough, 10 times in the mirror, while your body screams the opposite. It's about embedding new truths into your emotional body, not just your mind. Try this. When you say an affirmation, stop, breathe. Feel what it would actually be like if it were true. Not as a performance, but as a question. What would change if I believed this? You're not lying to yourself. You're offering your subconscious a new possibility. 3. Journaling. Writing is a backdoor to the unconscious. Free writing, with no censor, no goal, no judgment, often reveals what's running beneath the surface. Jung called this active imagination. You ask a question, and then let the psyche respond. Try asking, what do I keep repeating? What is this part of me trying to protect? What belief is keeping me here? Right, don't think. The goal isn't clarity, it's contact. Fourth, repetition with emotional charge. This is key. You didn't form your current patterns from logic, they were burned in through emotional repetition. The same applies to new ones. This is where Jung's idea of integration becomes real. It's not enough to know your patterns, you have to relate to them differently, with compassion, with creativity, with consistency. You become the parent your inner child needed. You become the leader your subconscious never had. You don't beat it into submission, you earn its trust. And here's something rarely said out loud. Pain can be a teacher, if you listen to it. This is what Jung meant when he said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. In other words, don't just focus on the vision of the life you want. Look at the parts of you that believe you don't deserve it. Invite them in. Ask what they need. Let them speak. Integration isn't always pretty, but it's powerful. Because the more parts of yourself you bring into the light, the less internal resistance you feel, and the more energy you free up to build what you actually want. This is why people who seem lucky often aren't relying on luck at all. They've just spent years unknowingly reprogramming themselves through repetition, through belief, through action. They've built new grooves, and once the subconscious is aligned, everything gets easier. Going to the gym isn't a struggle, it's just what you do. Speaking with confidence isn't a performance, it's natural. Following through on your goals isn't exhausting, it's automatic. This is the shift, from fighting your own mind to being carried by it. So the real question isn't, how do I fix myself? The question is, how do I show up consistently in a way that teaches my subconscious who I really am? Because the subconscious doesn't respond to force, it responds to familiarity. Make your vision familiar. Make your power familiar. Make healing familiar. Make peace the pattern. And watch how everything around you starts to shift, once everything within you begins to trust the new direction.